Good morning. We're joined by head coach Gary Watkins of the San Diego Mesa College football team. Bright and early. It is now 7:30 in the morning, but I do know that you've been in there probably even earlier. Good morning, coach.
Good morning. Yeah, early start this Friday morning for sure.
Absolutely. Big game tomorrow. But before we go to the next challenge for this team, apologies for missing last week's interview. I was a bit under the weather and didn't really wasn't even able to get out of bed. Let me just go back to the Citrus game. Lots of opportunities missed. Is to not only tie but also be able to put the game away. We didn't get to do that. Now, what was your message to the team after a game like that? Right. This is a team sport. Everyone's involved. When a game like that happens, I do know that after the game, you guys had a very long meeting afterwards on the field. What was your message to the team?
Yeah, so I always tell our guys, in moments like that when people feel like we left some money on the table or didn't complete finish the game the way we would have liked. It's very easy for teams and teammates to start pointing the finger, and I
Mhm,
I just tell I just tell the team, if if you want to point the finger at someone, point the finger at me. Like we're not blaming the quarterback, we're not blaming the corner, the DB, we're not blaming the kicker, we're not blaming anybody. You want to
mhm,
blame someone, you blame me because ultimately it's my responsibility to make sure that we're ready to play and ready to compete and play at a level that's acceptable to our standard. And
mhm.
so it's important that teams pull together and become closer during those moments of adversity. It's not the time to push each other
Sure.
away or to single any one individual out. I tell them they want to rally around someone. If their parents want to complain about something or their uncle, wants to fuss about it, tell them to fuss about me. And so just trying to keep the guys together, trying to get the guys to understand that although we did not accomplish the goal of beating Citrus, all of our goals were still in front of us, the ones that we had set forth at the beginning of the year. And so it was important that we didn't waver, right? Because
Mhm,
sometimes when adversity hits, that's two losses in a row.
mhm,
I'll be honest, Bo, I can't remember the last time. I mean, I guess I could, off the top of my head, would be 2018. But since
mhm,
2018, I can't recall the last time that we've lost two games in a row.
mhm.
So we were, I don't want to say scrambling the jets, but just having to figure out again how to just redirect our mindset, redirect our focus to the things that were important, understanding that we are a good football team,
Yeah.
understanding that we lost to Mount Sac when they were number 4 in the country, and then Citrus ends up beating Mount Sac last week. So, obviously they're a really good team as well, but felt like we had opportunities in both of those games to be victorious. And so it's a fine time for us to learn and grow as a group. And I think we were able to, although it was not pretty in the second half, I think we
Sure.
were able to kind of demonstrate that rebound effect this past week at Palomar College.
Oh, so and speaking of rebound, I mean, how proud were you of Joshua? After a game like that, coming back in, going 2 for 2 in field goals, 2 for 2 in extra points. Tell me about his character and being able to bounce back after a game like Citrus.
Yeah, obviously, that young man, he cares so much,
Mhm,
not just about the game of football and his ability to kick, but he cares so much about his teammates and this team's success. And so, obviously, as you can imagine, Bo, with your experience dealing with specialists, he was distraught. I mean, the kid
yeah.
was hurt. He was hurt. And so I walked right into that team meeting on Monday, and I told everyone, hey, we're going to wrap our arms around this dude.
Mhm,
No one feels the pressure like he does. We put him in that spot, which if we play better in all the other phases, maybe we can alleviate some of that pressure from him.
sure.
And I looked him right in his eyes in front of everyone and said, we got full confidence in you. You're
Mhm,
you are here for a reason. We believe that you are the best kicker in the county, and we're going to have an opportunity next week to put you out there. And we're going to put you out there, and we're going to expect you to go out there and put the ball between the uprights. And that's
mhm.
exactly what we did. First opportunity we had to kick it, we sent him out there.
Yeah,
Because I think the best way to help him get over that is to put him right back into it.
absolutely.
Not to hide him from it. It's not to try to avoid the situation. It's to reassure him, that we still believe in you, and we trust you to execute when it counts. And he went out there, and you could see that after that first one went through, you can kind of see the weight of the world jump off his shoulders. And so,
Yeah.
just giving him that confidence was something that I believe was important. I thought that he bounced back really well, and obviously we will continue to utilize him in the appropriate moments of the
Abs-
appropriate moments in games
abs-
going forward.
ab- Absolutely. And that's the thing about football. And I'm glad you mentioned that earlier on is it's a team sport. It's not one play on the playbook that causes whether you win or lose a game. It's a whole bunch of plays that happens. So it could be a missed tackle, it could be a missed assignment, it could be a dropped interception. It could be a lot of these things that make an entire team. But extremely impressive how we came out and did what he was able to do. Let's move forward to Palomar. A little more happier times.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you, it's one of those things that not taking anything away from Palomar because they played great, but
Yep.
again, there were opportunities that were there to kind of not have your blood pressure or my blood pressure high towards the end of the game,
Yeah.
in which this thing could have been, in a sense, kind of been taken care of a little bit earlier. What's happening in that phase of the game where, and even more important, is there a message to the team and like, hey, we can't let up or relax for a split moment because things like what happened in Palomar could one day eventually bite us back in the butt, and next thing you know, we're tied at 28 going into overtime. What's the message that you tell these guys?
Yeah. So I just talked to them, throughout the week, even in practice, about
Mhm.
battling through a lull. That lull when you get to that, you get to
Yeah,
that 60-minute, 70-minute mark in practice, it gets really easy to kind of like, oh man, like we've been out here an hour and 10 minutes already. Like you have that 15, 20-minute block that's next where things can go a little lethargic. And so I told them, we don't want that to happen in games, so we can't allow it to happen in practice. And so
sure.
we've had a couple games now where we start off really, really fast, and then we hit a lull where we're kind of stuck in the mud a little bit and have to battle out of it. But I'll be honest with you, Bo, like that game against Palomar kind of finished exactly how I thought it was going to finish. Like, there's no
Mhm.
doubt in my mind that Palomar is going to play us tough every single
Yeah.
time. That's a rivalry game for us,
Mhm.
and backyard brawl, and we're always recruiting the same guys. We're competing against each other every single year. Um, I think the very first year that I was a head coach in 2018, the game was two possession victory for Mesa, and I think every single game since then has been a one possession game. And so the game always comes down to the wire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I reminded the team of that going in at halftime. I think at halftime, I think we were up 21, maybe we were up 18, whatever it was. And I just told him, I said, look, there's 30 minutes left.
25-7. We're up 25-7.
25-7. Okay. And so I put the team up at halftime and I said, look, guys, I don't care what the scoreboard says right now. This game is not over. Like,
Hmm.
Coach Early does a great job of keeping his guys playing hard for 60 minutes. They're going to battle back. They're going to go in there and make some adjustments. And they're going to come back out here and try to challenge us and try to win this football game, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So it's my job to make sure that my guys understand that it is a 60-minute ball game. Uh, there were there was a huge momentum swing um, late in our middle to late in the second quarter with a big touchdown return by Merrick, 93-yard fumble return. We had another fumble in their own territory, which we picked up and scored. So there were a number of like one play momentum swings that were in our favor, which ultimately was the difference. But the game was still a battle between offense and defense and special
Hmm.
teams. They were still going out there. They blocked the punt, had a huge kickoff return. They were still competing and playing. And so for us, as we continue to mature as a team, we have to figure out how to and the cliche that we use around here is like, don't play with your food. When it's time for dinner, sit down and eat. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Sit down and eat your meal. Don't play with your food, or you might spill it. It might get taken away from you,
Yeah.
or it's cold, right? And so just trying to get our guys to develop that 60-minute mentality, and not breathe a sigh of relief because, as you know, Bo, being at our games, junior college football games are some of the longest football games in the entire sport. They are
Mhm.
forever. And so being down 18 points at the half, I mean, we wouldn't quit if we were down 18
Mhm.
at the half. And so we don't expect any of our opponents to do so either. And so just knowing the nature of the rivalry, knowing how well coached Palomar is, and how good of a job Coach Early does down there or up there, I guess. We knew that it was going to be a battle for 60 minutes, and we're grateful that we were able to come out on top in a close fought battle. On the
Absolutely.
road, by the way,
Yeah.
on the road stuff.
Well, and that's the thing. It's one of those things that regardless of the score, the other side wants to win as well. And I
Right.
always say that in anything, right? Whatever you're competing at, whatever discipline, whatever sport, when you have an opponent, they're not just going to lay down and give up. They're going to want to win as well.
Yep.
Well, heck, speaking of rivalry week, we got a big one coming up. Southwestern College. They're right now at 4-0. We don't have common opponents as of yet, so we don't necessarily know. But I know that you and the coaching staff have been doing a deep dive on them. When the athletic director Ron Valenzuela took over the program, one of the things that he was looking to do, and as we both know, football, in a sense, moves the campus, right? It's the sport that a lot of people take a look at. And I think Ron has found his guy. Oscar Rodriguez is their new head coach. I believe his background is some D1s. I think most previously at the University of Kansas. Um, Looking at the stats on my side, it looks like a fairly balanced offense as far as both the run and the pass. Um, you know, Early research on them. What do you know about the Southwestern program? I was about to call them the Apaches, but obviously they're now the Jaguars. So I got to
You're
make
dating
sure I call them.
yourself. You're
I got
dating
to make
yourself
sure I
for
write
sure right
the
there.
right team. So what do we know about the Jaguars going into another gigantic rivalry week tomorrow?
Yes, like you said, they're sitting at 4-0 right now, and they've done what you would expect teams to do, which is go out and compete every week and
Mhm,
play a good brand of football. They fly to the ball. They're all about taking away the ball. They're all about explosive plays on offense, and so obviously coming, I think this is Coach Rodriguez's second year now. Trying to get that program started and
mhm,
roll in the right direction. He's done a great job of turning it around based on some of the previous years that place has experienced.
mhm.
And so, we look forward to another long, hard fought battle
Yeah.
um, for King of the County for us. We've already defeated Palomar, and so if we are able to knock off Southwestern College, which is the number 6 team in the state right
Yep.
now, coming to Mount Olympus on Saturday, we'll secure our third King of the County trophy if we're able to be victorious. And so, our first goal every single year is to be King of the County, and so we have an opportunity this weekend to scratch that first one off the ticket, and so I expect them to play hard. I expect them to be excited about playing Mesa. Like you said, it's a rivalry game. A
Mhm,
lot of our players know each other, went to school with each other, have played with each other for not just high school years, but Pop Warner sometimes as
mhm.
well. And the coaching staff over there, we're all recruiting the same
Yeah.
guys. We're all trying to build, solid rosters to play at the upper level. And I don't expect anything less than a hard-fought football game. They are number 6 in the state for a reason.
Mhm.
They are the number one scoring defense in the SCFA right now. I think they're giving up 14 points a game. I don't believe, if my calculations are correct, I don't believe they have trailed in a football game yet.
Mm.
And so, it's going to be a tall task for the Olympians this week, but we are definitely up for the challenge and looking forward to the opportunity.
Absolutely. Once again, we are joined by head coach Gary Watkins, having his football team sitting at 2-2. Gigantic game tomorrow evening against Southwestern College. As coach had mentioned, number 6 currently in the JCAB football rankings with a 4-0 start. Just a couple of the numbers that I do know. They're averaging 457 yards a game, 187 yards a game. You're right. Defense points allowed per game is 14.5. Some of the numbers of rushed allowed is 388, and it looks as if we have a pretty solid running team the last couple of days, the last couple of games. And I'm glad you mentioned it. And in whichever level of football it is, whether it's a division rivalry, whether it's league, this is a in-town, cross-town rivalry in which, like you mentioned, you literally compete against each other outside of the football field, right? Recruits, these guys playing against each other. There's rivalries that span across, you know, Pop Warner, Mighty Mites, wherever, right?
Yeah,
And so it's going to
yeah,
be one of those exciting games. Last question for you, Coach, and
yep,
I always ask this every single game. There's still some mistakes that we're doing out there, and I know you guys focus on it, hammer it. That just we just gotta slow down and eliminate some of the as you call them selfish plays,
yep.
right? When you do selfish plays, you let teams stick around. Um, what's the message? I want to see the coaching angle of it. That as
Yeah,
as many times as you, the coaching staff, the assistants, even the trainers are probably saying, "Hey,
yeah.
get off the field. You make a play, get off the field."
Hmm.
Right? What's that message that you hammer to these guys every single game? And I know that for a fact because I can see
Yeah,
you on the sidelines scratching your head like, didn't we just talk about this?
yeah.
Tell me what goes into that during these meetings.
Yeah, so we started the season off with I think we had 150 yards worth of penalties versus um, ELAC week one. And I think we
Mhm.
turned around week three and had 170 yards with the penalties versus Citrus, and eight of those gave them additional first downs, which are extended drives on your defense, right? And so my new angle has been questioning and asking the players, what team are you playing for? Are you playing for Mesa tonight, or are you playing for the opponent? Because I think that when Mesa plays whoever their opponent is, I think we have a chance to be and hopefully be victorious in every game on our schedule.
Mhm.
If Mesa is playing for Mount Sac, or Mesa's playing for Citrus, or Mesa's playing for Palomar against Mesa, then we're not competing against them. We're competing against ourselves.
Yes,
And
yes.
so I'm just trying to encourage our guys to play for the blue and gold every week. You know what I mean? Like don't play against us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like don't do things that are going to benefit our opponent is essentially what I'm trying to convey to them, right?
yeah.
Like don't give them extra plays on a drive. Like to me, the worst one that pops out of my head is when it's 3rd and 8 and your defense gets a stop and then you get a personal foul penalty after the play, or you get roughing the passer after you guys bat the ball down. It's just like extending drives and giving them extra opportunities. To me is the worst of them all. And so those personal fouls, which I don't think we had any personal fouls last game.
Mhm.
We had the one late hit, which if you look at the film, it shouldn't have been called. It was incidental contact. The guy got
Mhm.
dubbed into the QB, but nevertheless, it was called, right? But
Yeah.
we didn't have any of the late hits on the sideline. We didn't have any of the late hits, post snap, post play.
Mhm.
So I think when we can eliminate those, because well, there is a correlation between some of the better teams being the most penalized teams. And part of that's because they're playing fast, they're playing hard, they're really aggressive. So they're going
Mm.
to rack up
Great point.
some
Mhm.
in-game penalties, right?
Mhm.
Like in-game penalties are part of the game.
It happens.
I believe that in-game penalties ultimately balance themselves out, right? So there's
Mhm.
no reason to fuss at the refs or get upset about how the game is being called, because there's going to be some balance variance in how those types of calls are made. But there
Sure.
is no variance for late hits. There is no variance for stupid penalties on the sideline, right? Like pushing guys,
Taunting.
like
Taunting drives me nuts.
exactly. Like
Drives me
there's
nuts.
no variance for that because those are self-inflicted, right? And so
Mhm.
if one team is doing it and one team is not, it's not going to balance out.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm referencing when I'm telling my guys, play for us, play for the M. You know what I mean? Don't play for the other team. Like don't help them, don't assist them. If they're going to beat us, um, make sure that they're doing that on their own accord, not because
Sure.
we are helping them. To me, as much as I hate losing, I'm a gracious enough sport that, when we do lose, I want it to be because the other team played better, the other
Sure.
team beat us, right? I don't want to feel like we lose football games because we're playing for the other team. You know what I mean? And so I've always prided myself, and our staff has prided themselves on coaching and playing with a very disciplined football team.
Yeah.
And as the 2025 team continues to grow and mature, you're starting to see that maturation and discipline begin to increase. And in my opinion, it's right on time for conference play. It's like conference play started last week, and we eliminated some of those mistakes and self-inflicted wounds, and we got a victory. Right now, we're on to the next conference opponent. And so I believe as they continue to grow and mature and gain more experience on the field, I think you're going to start to see some of some of that discipline
Hmm.
that you've grown accustomed to seeing from our program. You know, I remember last week during the game, I said, no, that's the Mesa defense I remember. We were
Yeah.
forcing them, we were running to the ball, we were playing physically, we were attacking the quarterback, we were forcing turnovers, we were forcing big plays. It was like, yeah, that's the group that I've been waiting to see. And so you're starting to see us develop into that squad that I think we've grown accustomed to seeing here on Mount Olympus. And so my hope is that that squad undoubtedly shows up Saturday evening.
So it should be exciting. If anything, I just want to quickly share with you. My wife and I voluntarily coach for AYSO 5 and under soccer, and
Yeah,
I have it on video where I'm screaming at my team saying, "Hey, stop stealing the ball from your teammate. You're on the
yeah,
same team. Like, why are you stealing? Ask him for the ball. Don't
yeah,
steal it." And then there
yeah,
was another instance last week where I was telling one of our players, "Hey, go guard number 7." And he went and started guarding our number 7. No, no, no,
yeah,
the other team, the other
yeah,
team. So if
yeah,
you ever need film or video to show your team next
yeah.
week, if something happens this weekend, be more than happy to share you the video that I
I
go through.
hope that I don't need to show them that, but if need be, I'll be sure to call you in for that one.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, big game. I'm going to let you go because I know you guys have a lot to be, still a lot to do on your checkoff list. Let's go get him tomorrow, 6 p.m. Against Southwestern College at Mount Olympus. Thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate you, Bo.
All right.